will also be learning programming languages, preparing for certifications, and preparing for interviews. We'll be handling basic interview skills as well as handling specific questions we'll be asked about towards our field. And our Vice President?
Hello, my name is Megan Terry. I'm the Vice President. I handle whatever Adrian needs me to do when she can't be around, and I can make things happen. If you have any suggestions, comments, anything in particular that comes up, you send me an email and I'll do what I can. Brittany?
Hi. And we, Evan and I are your treasurers. I'm the association treasurer and he's the club treasurer. He will be handling the money on the side that we receive from UNF, and I'll be handling fundraiser type of money, and we'll both be like working together to set up fundraisers and get us some money towards our certs and everything that we'll be needing it for.
I'm Aaron Wagner. I'm the club secretary, resident bureaucrat. Professor Roy didn't make it tonight. If his bio is up on the UNF page, he is our club advisor. Professor Prodnoff was advisors of the previous instance of the club, and we're doing a turnover between those. So, yeah, let me give the quick 3-minute spiel on how this is organized. The Association for Information Technology Professionals is a national dues collecting organization. So that's the National Association. We also have the UNF chapter, student chapter of the Association of Information Technology Professionals, which we're going to ask you, we're going to start setting up officers for that once we actually have enough people to fill the list of officers there. I've proposed to Madam President that we actually do the full list of officers for a professional association, because the professional association in Jacksonville has 7 members. We got about 3 times that number of people here, or who will be watching this on YouTube once we get posted. So we're probably going to end up doing that. Downside, costs $30 as a student, costs, I believe it's $120 as a professional. There are website benefits. There's a national, okay, I'm forgetting words now. There's a national convention for it where they do things, and networking, all the types of things that we want to do. Then there's the club. Free membership, we're going to have a YouTube channel. We're going to be doing studying a programming language. Between our discussion tonight, we're going to figure out what programming language we're going to study. We're also going to pick what cert we're going to study for. Breakdown of money. We have some club money. Club money came from UNF. Club money will come from UNF. So we have to spend that under UNF's law, rules for clubs. We are currently in negotiation with the National Association to call our club the AITP club. If we do that, one of the things that we're promising is we will do all of our fundraising in the AITP Association bucket, not in the AITP club bucket. That also means those funds will be association funds, and we have to look at what the current bylaws are, and once we have enough members in the actual dues-paying members in that association, we can look at rewriting those bylaws, because if you look at that stack of books in the center, and that's only about that's only 3 certs. And I didn't take the rest of my CISSP books. They're not cheap, the tests aren't cheap. We don't know how we can make it fair, but if we're raising money, we're probably going to try and spend it on some of those things. And if not, we're going to spend it on food or something. And long term, going back to having fun, we want to enter a programming contest, hacking contest, and the department director has encouraged us, and we honestly think it's pretty cool. we'd like to host a high school programming contest here. Probably something we can do with volunteer hours, but also be nice to have food for them, that type of thing. So that's where the funds come in. And Brittany will be figuring, or no, okay, we'll be talking to you about ways that we're planning on raising money eventually. And the same thing on, okay. Questions on overarching organization, which I'm sure bores you, and you'll get a copy of the bylaws when I get your email and get the last I's and T's dotted and crossed. Okay, let's go to the exciting stuff with Evan talking about what language we want to learn to the code.
All right, well, this was actually one of the things I was interested in is we learn a few languages here. We have a few organizations, but they're more geared towards guest speakers. And because we only really learned C, Java, and maybe dabble in a few other things, I personally thought it'd be a good idea to have a sort of organization where we could learn together through like workshops, having like maybe like weekly or bi-weekly programming projects for people to practice new languages in. As far as what languages, really it's whatever people are really interested in. That's one of the things we're looking for today. I know some people have said Python. A lot of people are pushing for C#. But at some point today, we'd like to kind of get a tally of what languages everyone's interested in and kind of go from there, start organizing different like little projects and workshop groups for people to learn and practice together. That way we can not only learn the language, but we can also get feedback from our peers as we're learning and growing in new languages together. Is there anything else, or should we pass off to Spencer and kind of get this little push for
Yes, let's have our local Microsoft representative. Or excuse me, our local Microsoft student partner.
Yeah. Right. Hi guys.
Floor is yours.
I'm not going to stand up and make you look at me. My name is Spence Southard. I am the Microsoft student partner for the University of North Florida. And we've started a pseudo app development club here if you guys are interested in attending. The meetings are going to be held every other week with a big meeting each month. And at those meetings, we usually bring in a guest speaker or do a large workshop where we code apps using C# or we build games using a game maker engine called Construct 2. So you might be thinking, why would you want to learn to develop Windows applications? Because nobody really has a Windows phone and few people use Windows 8 or like it. But the truth of the matter is that learning to develop apps is a transferable skill. You can learn for Windows and you can take what you learn and apply it to iOS and apply it to Android. We primarily code with C# when we build our applications, but if you guys know Java, the truth is you know 90% of C#. There's very subtle differences. But I really recommend learning it because saying you know C# is going to be one of those bigger languages that is often used out there in the corporate world. Other reasons we program for Windows, apart from me having a position with Microsoft, is Microsoft literally throws resources at you guys to help you guys learn how to code applications. We all have access to Visual Studios for free, which we would use to code our apps. We have a technical evangelist down in Tampa whose name is Joe Healy, who's a pretty awesome guy. He works for Microsoft and he comes up here on occasion and he helps us with our app labs. And he usually brings a bunch of cool prizes, just incentives to get you guys out there and learning to code apps. They throw phones at us. Some guy got a tablet a month ago as part of our group. He produced an application. He was one of 2 guys who did so he won a tablet. Also, a big reason why you guys should want to come out to this is it's going to be a great experience for you guys because apps are something that's really blowing up right now. I can't think of a small business owner who doesn't want an application for their business. And right now, a big reason to get started is Microsoft is doing a promotion until April 14th. For each app you produce and get in their store, you're going to get $50 guaranteed. And I have all the forms to fill out to get that money. But if your application gets 100 downloads, which is actually really easy, as long as you guys submit the app at least a week before the contest is over, you should probably get 100 downloads. You'll get an extra $50. So you'll get $100 for each application. And making an application is actually really simple. At our next meeting on February 24th, we're gonna walk you guys through one. So if you guys come, you can consider yourself making $100 within an hour, or actually 2 hours. Every project that you guys pretty much work on is something that can be transferred into an application in one way, shape, or form. Because you guys already do most of the coding, it's just a matter of tackling the visual side of things. And with Visual Studios and C#, it's incredibly easy. So if you guys are interested in being a part of this, hit me up after the meeting and I'll tell you guys how you can get started, and I'll show you guys the link to the Facebook group so you guys can get all the information as I disperse it.
Will you pull up the link to the
Sure.
Facebook group up here so we can get it for the people at home? You're on camera.
I love being on camera.
Okay.
If you guys search for Microsoft at UNF, you'll find a Facebook page and a Facebook group. I actively use one of the two of those. I use the group more often than not, but you can like the page and join the group if you want. When you request to join the group, I'll add you immediately. So here's all the members we currently have. This is Joe Healy, who works at Microsoft. I'm sure he's going to be looking to show you guys his Facebook page. Developer evangelist at Microsoft. Doesn't get much more legit than that. I post a lot of cool stuff up here. I have a lot of resources for you guys to use. I have over $200 worth of ebooks teaching you guys C#, how to make basic apps. So if you guys are worried about learning C#, like I said, you guys pretty much already know it with Java, but you can really make Windows apps using JavaScript, using C++, using Python. It's a very developer-friendly environment, and that's why I highly recommend people get into Windows development, because you can really start your foundation of app development here and take it elsewhere. Elsewhere on this page, I post templates that we use. For our Construct 2 games, a lot of what we do is we work out the logic, and then we share the templates. So I'll give you guys templates you can use to make apps, and sometimes it's as easy as switching out images and theming your application and just making it your own. And for each one of those you produce, using a template, you get the $100, assuming you get 100 downloads. And you can use the same template twice, so the same logic behind the application. We also partner occasionally with a developer user group based out of Jacksonville, MWJax. They do cool events every now and then, including large hackathons on the weekend. And we're pretty connected with them. If you guys really want to develop networking connections with other industry professionals in the area who like doing this kind of stuff, I highly recommend going to these. If you guys come to our meetings, I'll talk to this a little more. Here's a link to a calculator app. Keith and I did at our last app lab. We developed a basic calculator, and I can show you guys my laptop later if you're interested. Using C#, I think it only took us an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Once we got started.
I mean, I'm doing the game of life for one of our classes, and I only know Java, and I've had to look up 2 things for C#, and I've literally spent 2 hours actually working on the coding. Like 4 hours getting the differences between C# and Java overcome, but it's not that hard if you know Java.
Here's the money, guys. I'm sure most of you guys know Jared. He's a grad student currently in our program. He's one of the guys who made an application, and he won this awesome Dell Venue Pro 8 tablet just for producing one single app. And I think we made this app in one of the app labs, so I don't think he did this on his own time. It was provided by Joe Healy. And kind of how the relationship with Microsoft works is the more we do, the more we get. So if we're really productive as a group and we're making a lot of apps and we're going to a lot of these networking connection meetings, they take a big interest in us, and they throw more stuff our way to help us get going. Before I went to UNF, I went to the University of South Florida, and they have a very established MSDN club down there. And they regularly have prizes and food provided by Microsoft to do these kind of things. So it's kind of cool that there's a corporation out there who's very interested in you learning, and there's not much commitment on your part to stay with the Windows ecosystem. They just want people to learn how to make stuff for the front end. Do you guys have any questions about that? Cool. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay, just by a show of hands, how many people want to learn Python? Because this is the, okay, actually, by a show of hands, how many people know what Python is? Okay. Those who didn't have their hands up for Python, what's the next one on our list? Because we've got a separate club that's doing C Sharp.
I'm not actively teaching C#, it's just gonna be something we use.
Okay,
So
so
we're
we have-
gonna learn it through practice.
So we have resources for C#. That's another option. How many people want to learn C#? That's the main one.
I think the hands have it.
Yeah. By the way, Evan is our intended seminar leader to some extent for code languages. It may be that we have somebody who's better at C#, and if that's the case,
I mean, I know a bit. Are you volunteering, Josh?
I mean,
I think he volunteered.
I'm the best one at C# in this room.
I think he
yes, I think
volunteered.
It's really just
And of
Java
course,
with a
that's not
couple
the
things
only
different.
language we're gonna learn.
Yeah,
After
no.
a certain amount of time spending, we will switch. So after C#, we can go to Python. So it's not like that's the only thing we're gonna be working on.
Or really whatever it is that people are interested in learning next.
It's not that hard to do environments.
so you're,
No.
are you volunteering for the
No,
football?
I have a suggestion, but I'm not gonna say it right now.
Okay. Talk offline.
Hey, I will come over there and smack you.
Okay, we'll talk offline after. So is that a majority for, I think that's a majority for C#.
That was easily a majority for
Yes.
C#.
Okay, so next order of business, certifications. How many people here want to study for IT style certifications or, study certs? Okay, yes, good, we have people. I have some certifications, specifically I'm certified Information System Security Professional. It's a hefty management security cert, not very technical. It's the one that's a mile wide and inch deep. And if you get a job that actually applies it, you can expect to be in the upper half, well in the upper half of 5 or in the very low 6 figures. It's also the thickest one of those books over there. And 163 question, it's the SAT, and it costs about $600 to take the test. I'm willing to do seminars on that one. I think we would want to do seminars on Security Plus first, which is your one step down security certification, which works more at the journeyman level. Or the other thing is the CISSP requires 5 years security experience to get the P. So somebody who is a CISSP has to look at your resume, validate it, and you have to show that you have at least 1 year of experience in 5 of the 7 domains to do that. Or you can take the same test, get the associate's cert on it, and get it once you have the experience. Other ones that are hard, but things that things that I'm interested in studying and tossing out there as possible ideas. You have your Cisco Certified Network Associate, and there's a step down below it that I was looking at with this, which is your entry level one. And I'm not seeing it, though I thought I had the right roadmap there. Networks, oh yeah, that's CompTIA, different one. But understanding how to program switches, how to set up a scalable network, LAN, WAN, and how to work for an ISP or medium to large business, being the guy programming switches. And then there's the one over there that gets everyone excited, is certified ethical hacker, which we may have somebody who's more skilled on that one in the room, and if so, let's talk offline and see if you're willing to do it. I'll swat it up and try and keep ahead if I'm gonna be the one leading. Other possibilities, you know, there are certs for a lot of stuff out there. There's a cert for Photoshop. We have officers who have certifications in Photoshop. But the basic ones that in IT industry are get you a steady job, networks or admin. And with those, if you're working for the government, you need a security cert that carries on the side.
There's also the Microsoft A+ certification.
Right.
That's one of their big ones too, that gets you jobs. And my grandfather, well, he works in Northrop Grumman, and that's like you have to get, once you get there, if you have it, it helps getting it. And
Okay.
Northrop Grumman's one of the biggest military contractors, or a large military contractor. And it's, for his job, one of the big things. And it's setting up secure servers, so.
Yeah. We could do A+. I think we would start more with MCSA, Microsoft Certified System Administrator. The difference is, okay, because these are tiered by pay, really. And it's also, each tier of pay is, you know, your beginner cert is usually gonna be a $10 to $15 an hour job. Your intermediate cert is going to be a comfortable full-time position at about, let's do, okay, about 30 an hour maybe. You know, your 60,000, you're usually going to not be working hourly, then you're gonna be working salary. You know, your system administrators, your network administrators, and these are pay scales I'm stealing from US government, so I'm not sure what the corporate world is. Like I said earlier, I'm our resident bureaucrat, and, you know, going back to school, get my master's before I go play in the corporate world. Your advanced certs, like that's the embarrassing numbers I was talking about with the CISSP, the Cisco Certified Network Professional, i.e. people who are called network engineer, and I don't know what the Microsoft equivalent is. If we're gonna go after any of those other than the CISSP, we need to get a volunteer professor who's an expert in that field, because I don't know that I can swap that up and keep ahead of you. Or we need somebody here who already has a job in that area. Anybody got, what are you guys interested in?
We probably just want to start with basic ones, the very basics. Especially a lot of us are coming in, I know I didn't know anything before I started Comp Sci 1. So I mean, a lot of us aren't gonna have any previous
Basic and
knowledge.
cheaper certs, and then we can work our way up. Skill
Which I mean,
level-wise.
once the club becomes established, if you start freshman year, join the club, and then do the certifications, I think that'll work. But other than that, I think right now, starting off, we need the really basic ones.
So then we've got there's three basic ones. You've got your A+, you've got your network, and you've got your security plus. This is the wrong picture for this, because this is just CompTIA, but please.
Are you familiar with Microsoft Test Fests?
No, I am not.
It was an event, I know here in town, event back in November last year. At FCCJ, anyone who showed up could take the basic level Microsoft certification. There's 10 parts, they could take any number of parts, any number of times, and get certifications for free. It was one day only, like 3 hours. You might want to talk to Joe Healy, see if he can hook that up.
Yeah, we need to see if we can get that again. And, you know, if we have a group that has gone through that, so. Are we thinking A+ or MCSA?
I think it's MCSA.
Brand new? Okay, I'm thinking that as well. MCSA is Microsoft Certified System Administrator. In other words, you're managing people's active profile directory, setting up people's permissions, dealing with those things and the other beast that comes to mind with that one, even if it's not covered by the test, that you need to know doing this, is you need to understand Exchange. Because if you're operating in a Microsoft server environment, you will have an Exchange email server unless the Exchange server is provided by Microsoft. And I'm not up to speed with 2010. I got out of the ISP business before the region I was managing got the update. But there's scaling issues with 2003. And it's no bad press on Microsoft because Exchange does those wonderful things where you have all of your email there and you can get to it. And if you think of it if you've gotten to the point of data structures, you realize that that's impressive capabilities there. Let's see. So I have to go find what the Microsoft Certified System Administrator book is that, those ones are what the right book is to buy for those certs. I'll have to find that and try and be ahead of you. I've got a little experience. I had people working on that before. I hadn't started that one. And we may have somebody smarter on this. Okay, next point is how often do we meet? Okay, so here's the thing. Is this a good time for everybody? Everybody who's here, this is a good time for, okay? Everybody who's not here, who's watching this on YouTube, what is our club officer email that we established? Anybody remember? Can't remember.
Post it in the
Okay,
comments for the
we
video.
will put it on the flyer and we will put it on the comments on the YouTube. And we're gonna have flyers posted with the YouTube. And from the people who aren't here, and sorry I waste everybody who's here's time saying this, email that account. We have an AITP at UNF, or excuse me, AITP.unf.club or .club.unf or something. It's gonna be in the comments. What a good time would be. And not Monday, when is your meeting, Spencer?
It's gonna be Monday at 6 p.m.
Okay, not Monday at 6 p.m., not Tuesday and Thursday at noon, because ACM meets then and has their guest speakers. Not Wednesday at 7:30, because the Brony Club meets then, and we're not gonna compete with our fellow geeks. Oh, by the way, being a geek is cool, have been since before it was cool. That being said, email in what a good time would be. We're gonna try and do that. How many people are actually interested in virtual meetings on the weekends? Well, the
I'm here.
officers you see up here live in the lab anyway, so that you don't care. But one of the things we're looking at is for the study groups, because we all have other stuff going on. Hey, let's have a study group on Google Hangouts. More to follow as we get this stuff formalized and we figure out what book to get. Once we figure out what book to get, please download, if you're gonna be doing the study group, please install the CD, start doing the questions, do the reading. Okay, last topic, professionalism. Is there anyone with hiring manager experience here? Or experience interviewing personnel for hiring? Okay, good. If you're interested, one of the things we'd like to do, other than conducting the usual seminars on resumes, networking, establishing your GitHub account, and putting a portfolio of your code up there for people to look at and putting a link to that on your resume, things like that, is the interview. My fellow officers, no offense intended, are not talking as much because they don't have as much experience doing public speaking. We're going to cure them of that, and we're going to cure you of that. If you see yourself using and someone please give me a count of how many times I used it, or I'll find it from the video. If we don't have time to cover all this, Toastmasters is a great club to develop public speaking skills, and I don't know where the UNF or Jacksonville Toastmasters meet. That said, we want to do practice hiring interviews. Hiring interviews have 3 people sitting down. I have training for selecting personnel, and I've done qualification interviews which are very similar. We may have another hiring interview person, and I'm going to see if Professor Roy is interested in that, or we may be able to get another one. The other one is we're going to have a number of backroom debates, brawls about whether or not we will record and publicize those, because you're going to be even more nervous if you know that you're on camera, and more uncomfortable, which is a good thing, because you will be so much more comfortable when you go into the interview if you've already gone through that type of stuff, with harder questions being asked, with people being even more intimidating than they will be at the interview, and knowing that it's going live on camera, that it's going, afterwards out into the wild on the net. Or we may decide that you need some privacy to make mistakes and cut, edit, or whatnot. But that's it. Also, if you have ideas, if you have questions, we covered the crowdfunding event in March.
I don't believe so.
Okay, one other thing. Got a lot of coders here, got a lot of people who have ideas doing things, and we need to think. There is one source, is it, or? One Spark in March or April in downtown Jacksonville. It's this big crowdfunding event where they mark off 16 blocks or so.
I think registration might have ended January 31st.
That's true.
Okay, there, we'll have to see what the penalty is for late registration, or if it's still available. If it's not available, we won't. If it is, one of the things I mentioned earlier is we hope next fall to host a hacking or coding contest. Go sit out in the sun and try and get people to give us money for that. Okay, questions, doubts, denials, anything?
Erin, do we want to do an every week meeting?
Oh, thank you.
Every other week?
That was why I got off track on that one. So, how often do you want to do this? Because hopefully next week we'll have already emailed out what book to buy, what chapters to go over, and what the first things to look at in C# are. I can find the right book by tomorrow, I think. Do you have a lesson plan together by?
I have a couple of resources. I can kind of sift through those. I've also got a bank of several very nice practice problems and projects ranging in difficulty that I have access to, and I can utilize that to put together something.
And what I can suggest as well, if we want to do it every week, we can do every other week working on our languages, and then the other every other week working on our certs. So that way, if you can't make every week, at least it's kind of laid out nicely, so you're not missing too much, instead of trying to cram too much into one session.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Is that a consensus?
I think Brittany's idea is good. I think you should have a monthly main meeting discussing actual club events focused, like just a monthly, get everything together, get everything, your certain statuses and everything, and then just have the three meetings that are, casual, going over each thing, and the monthly main meeting. Also, we could probably have other days or other things, since like you, me, Brittany, Evan, Adrian, and everyone else lives in the lab basically. We already have casual meetings set up all the time.
So how about, since this is the second Thursday of the month, we'll have our big meetings every second Thursday of the month. And then in between, we can do our certs and languages and everything else.
Do we want, okay, I think we need to
Let everyone
consider
vote first.
by next month whether, depending on how much other people we have interested, whether or not we need to move the status of the club meeting. And it may, well.
Or better
on
work.
weekends.
Different,
Or, you know, outside of class, because right now there's people in night classes who said they want to be here. But we'll see if they actually put it on email.
If that doesn't being the case, does anyone here have objections to weekend meetings?
And I think people are here for school weekly.
I think I've seen many of you in the lab on the
The
weekends.
big meeting should be during the weekdays.
Yeah, big meetings during the weekdays, but for like the coding workshops and such, would anyone rather that be during the week or on weekends? One benefit of weekends is possibly having more time to work on it, be able to cover more material, and have more space to work. So thoughts on that?
How many people think they're actually going to come for a weekly commitment? Okay, wow, that's impressively in that. Okay,
Next Thursday, 7:30?
next Thursday, 7:30. Questions? I will get you what the right MCSA book is in enough time for, if you have Amazon Prime, it to get here.
And we will slowly try and create our own Facebook page, kind of like what Spence has for his club, and that way we can all kind of try and keep track on there if we want to set up meetings or stuff like that, and then that way we can all keep track of different ways and email.
We also have a UNF club page that we have to figure out. There's still, that's all in the turning over from the dead club to trying to get this thing started. So, but yes, Facebook is used by more people other than me.
I just have a question. As far I know, in the corporate world, Java has more demand than C#. So why C#?
I believe that depends on the region. I know actually in this area, I've seen a lot more companies hiring for C# and .NET.
You mean in Jacksonville?
In Jacksonville, yes. While Java may be in more demand all over, it's a regional thing. As I said, here in Jacksonville, C# seems to be king. Also, Java is taught in the very heavy portion of the curriculum here, and we're looking at languages that are not part of the curriculum that we study here, so that we as students can be more diverse in our what languages we know when we graduate and go out to get a job. So it's a lot of it has to do with diversity of knowledge. That way we have more options. More doors are open to us.
I agree with that. And also, if you consider from career perspective, and if a person is more concerned about some particular company or IT department who wants to join there, it's better to not go with the regional. I mean, if you go for a Microsoft or Amazon or a Google, if you have such a dream, then which language is better?
Well, it's not, languages aren't a skill. Languages are tools. Skills are that you know how to do object-oriented programming, which is both of those languages. That you are good at algorithm optimization. If you just think that of a language as something that'll get you hired, you're not going in the right direction, because you want to, if you go work for a company and you're a programmer, you'll learn whatever language they want. You know, once you've learned how to do Java or C, is it C sharps? Which one are we talking about?
C
Yes,
sharp.
C sharp, got 3 different versions of C rolling around the back of my head. they're, okay, a little bit of format difference, a couple things you do differently. Question is, what are you gonna do with it? Are you doing it to make a game on a phone that just the person is playing against the computer? Are you making a game on a phone that someone is playing, actually, everybody here has heard of Words with Friends? Okay, so are you making a game on the phone where people are playing with each other? So you're actually going to talk over the network and use some sort of network client in the phone. Do that, because once you make that, Words with Friends, I don't know if you can play someone on Android from iPhone. Probably can, because Zynga's a big company and they have their own servers for them all to talk to. Us little people making these, we're probably gonna, for the first time, make it so that they talk to each other and not talk to a server, if you're making that for an application. I was talking to Adrian and Evan and Keith this morning about a app idea I have for a with friends style game that I'd like to do. Just so, hey, I know how to do distributed programs. Have programs that work from different things. That's a skill. Language is just a tool. A mechanic has certain tools in his box. We're trying to get more tools in our toolbox by learning more languages. I think our two resident programming experts would agree with me that the more languages you know, between the differences of them, they're not all that different. Because
I should say the skills are transferable really from one to another, and just right now we're choosing C# because until April we have an opportunity to make a fair amount of money per person. That's why it works well. Going from Java to C# is literally slight format changes. Going from C to C++ is adding a couple things. Going from one language to another is really easy. It's just learning the concepts from one to another.
And it's not the only language that we're gonna study at.
yeah. And we need to talk to Professor Walt to get the programming packages from, well, okay, everyone here is eligible, or Keith, can you give that quick?
Yeah, for
pitch?
Visual Studio, to get that for setting them up, Visual Studio is available under DreamSpark under the UNF School of Computing. So you can create a DreamSpark account for free, but through UNF you actually have to go to Walt Schuller, his office is out there, or you can send him an email, it's really easy. He has to unlock that for you to verify you're part of the School of Computing. It's really easy. You can either just go to his office, talk to him, or send him an email, and he'll unlock that for you. Through that, you'll be able to download Visual Studio, Windows 8, several other applications. Through that, you'll be able to create all the applications and several other things. It's really not that hard.
This is the same stuff I was paying $160 a year to do before I started here last fall for a Microsoft TechNet subscription. So, yeah, free money.
Commercially, Visual Studio is like $3,000. So.
And I went yesterday, he did it in about 3 minutes, so it doesn't take long at all.
Anything else? And we are 45 minutes on what I said we were trying to do by 9. So, thank you for your time.